I'm Dr. Milan Chugh. I'm an interventional cardiologist at SIMS Hospital, Ahmedabad. Today I'm going to present you a very interesting case. Case is about a 50-year-old male who had hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, which is a genetic disorder. I'll say it's an autosomal dominant trait with variable penetrance, and is a commonest form of genetic anomaly in the society. So basically it is not an uncommon disease, but the people who are undergoing this treatment, they are very few in number, and very few centers in India are doing alcohol septal ablation for this otherwise a deadly disease. So we'll discuss something about this unique case and unique management. So in today's case, my patient is a 50-year-old male. He presented with history of angina, dyspnea and dizziness on exertion since last about 3 to 6 months. He was non-smoker, non-diabetic, non-hypertensive and had dyslipidemia of course, and he had no family history of sudden cardiac death. His clinical electrocardiographic and echocardiographic findings suggested that patient had hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. His basal IVS thickness was 20 mm and he had dynamic LVOT obstruction. His peak gradient at rest was 100 mm of mercury, and on provocation peak gradient across LVOT was up to 150 mm Hg. He had a moderate mitral regurgitation. This is his ECG, which shows classic symmetrical deep T inversion in multiple chest leads and limb leads. This is M mode of his left ventricle, which clearly shows systolic anti-motion of mitral valve, which is a hallmark or typical of LVOT dynamic obstruction. This is his fixed frame 2D echo of parasternal and long axis and apical 4-chamber views, which clearly shows hypertrophic IVS, which has typical hyperrefractile echo characteristics, which is also very characteristic of HOCM or hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, whether patient has obstruction or no obstruction. See, basic management of this patient is very important. Ultimately, aim is to relieve his symptom, reduce risk of sudden cardiac death, and to do genetic counseling of a patient and his entire family. So we have to take care of his entire family. Of course, medical management includes beta blockers, non-dihydropyridine type of calcium channel blockers like diltiazem or verapamil. Disopyramide is another drug which is useful to relieve LVOT obstruction, and amiodarone also can be given. It helps not only in reducing risk of arrhythmia, but it reduces LVOT obstruction also. Definitive therapy includes septal ablation, which can be in form of surgery or percutaneous transseptal myocardial ablation, or what we call alcohol septal ablation. Those patients who are at high risk of sudden cardiac death, then ICD is the treatment which we should offer. This is a selective coronary angiography of left side. We can see clearly large septal artery, and he had atherosclerotic plaque also in the mid LAD. This is RF view showing same. And basically in alcohol septal ablation, what we do is we selectively go through PTCA guide wire in the first septal artery, and then over the wire balloon is used. We remove the guide wire and inject alcohol in the first septal artery and try to create an controlled myocardial infarction in the targeted area, which is actually causing LVOT obstruction. In our protocol, we take or introduce 3 catheters. One is through right radial artery, that is 5 French pigtail catheter that goes in the left ventricular cavity. Through right femoral artery, we use 6 French guiding catheter to do the procedure itself, and we always take intrajugular vein from right side, and we put a temporary pacemaker wire which we keep for 2 to 4 days in case patient develops complete heart block, where incidence is almost 5% in literature. This is the passage of guide wire and balloon in the first septal artery, which is the target artery, and here we are injecting the contrast. We always do simultaneously echocardiography at this stage to assess whether we are targeting the correct septal artery and correct septal basal septum. Once we have injected the defined amount of alcohol, we always get no reflow or slow flow in the first septal artery, and usually gradient is reduced at this stage. This patient incidentally had associated coronary artery disease, so we stented this artery also with drug-eluting stent with good end result. This is the hemodynamics before and after the procedure. As we see, before alcohol septal ablation, resting gradient was 90 and post-ectopic gradient was 130 mm of mercury. After alcohol septal ablation, resting gradient had reduced to 0 and post-ectopic gradient was just 10 mm of mercury. So it was an excellent result. We see this M mode after the procedure, that dynamic LVOT obstruction and systolic entry motion of antimitral plate has disappeared. This is apical 4-chamber view. We can see that now there is good laminar flow in LVOT during systole. Patient has mild AR, which was there before the procedure also, and it has not increased after the procedure. This is continuous wave Doppler across LVOT, and there is hardly any significant residual gradient. Peak gradient was just 16 mm of mercury. So basically, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy is an autosomal dominant disease with variable penetrance. It's the most common genetic cardiac disease affecting 1 in 500 people. It can present at all ages. Life expectancy is variable, can range from normal life to sudden cardiac death at any age because of ventricular arrhythmia. If we think about risk factors for sudden cardiac death, then family history of sudden cardiac death is most important risk factor. If patient has unexplained syncope, then it has to be presumed because of cardiac arrhythmia in a patient who has hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Patient who has multiple repetitive non-sustained ventricular tachycardia on Holter or loop recorder, these people are also at risk of sudden cardiac death. If patient has abnormal exercise response, especially ventricular ectopy or severe hypotension on exercise, then they are also at risk of sudden cardiac death. If patient's IVS thickness is more than 30, that is massive left ventricular hypertrophy, very thick myocardium, that itself is an independent risk factor for sudden cardiac death. Patients who have cardiac arrest and those who are at cardiac arrest survivors, of course, they also should receive ICD after survival. Or those who have documented sustained ventricular tachycardia, these people are at risk of sudden cardiac death, and all these people should be offered ICD apart from beta blocker therapy. And if they have got LVOT obstruction, then it should be tackled by either alcohol septal ablation or surgery. Indications for septal ablations are clinical as well as hemodynamics. Clinical indications means if patient is symptomatic in spite of maximally tolerated drugs, that is beta blocker or calcium channel blockers like verapamil or diltiazem, and if patient has recurrent exercise induced syncope, then such patient should be offered septal ablation. If patient has failure of prior surgical myomectomy or pacemaker therapy, then that is also an indication for septal ablation. And if patient has increased surgical risk due to comorbidity, then this patient should be offered alcohol septal ablation rather than surgical septal ablation. If patient has intracavitary gradient which is more than 30 mm of mercury at rest, or provocable gradient is more than 60 mm of mercury in spite of beta blocker or adequate optimum medical therapy, then such patients should be offered alcohol septal ablation. As far as two types of treatment is concerned about septal ablation, these are surgical myomectomy or alcohol ablation, and in both categories patient do well. If we see long-term outcome of Mayo Clinic series, and of course these are 5 comparison studies of 400 plus patients, if we see gradient reduction by surgical myomectomy and ablation, it is almost comparable. And if we see symptom status, NYHA class, that is also significantly reduced by both, and both are almost result-wise equal. And mortality with any therapy, surgical or alcohol septal ablation, is just 1 to 2% per year. If we see long-term outcome, this slide shows 8-year follow-up, but now that follow-up is up to 12 years. And if we compare with expected mortality of population, surgical myomectomy or alcohol septal ablation, everywhere mortality or survival is same. Almost 80% people are alive at the end of 10 years after the treatment. And in spite of that, independently, sudden cardiac death rate is about 1.4% per year. whether patient undergoes surgical myomectomy or arcold septal ablation. So, although I have not published my series of almost 55 patients, but at SIMS Hospital, Ahmedabad, I am doing these procedures very regularly, routinely, and with results which are comparable to international results. And this is the treatment, arcold septal ablation is a treatment which is compared to surgery is far easier and safer, and patient goes on within just 3 to 4 days. We usually keep the patient in hospital for 3 to 4 days because 5% chance is there of permanent pacemaker because of complete heart block. So we usually observe the patient for 3 to 5 days, but fortunately so far in 55 patients we have not seen any mortality, and almost 84% patients are free of symptoms at the end of almost 12 years of total follow-up. And 2 patients actually out of 55 needed permanent pacemaker, and 2 patients out of this 55 patients needed repeat procedures because of recurrent obstruction. So first septal artery was ablated. This patient needed second septal artery ablation also. Okay, thank you.